Good morning, true believers! I am DJ Vann, and today I will share to you something I am truly passionate about, and that is comic books. Now, as a child, I was surrounded by geek stuff, nerdy stuff, and all sorts of awesome. I grew up watching what is probably the most beloved show by comic book nerds in the world, and that is Batman the Animated Series. Now, through this show, I was able to learn how to speak English and paved the way for me to further enhance my communication skills. Now, I love the characters so much that I got hooked on the comic book tie-ins of the show. And through that medium, I learned how to read. As I grew older, the comic book community had become more mature and started telling deeper stories about godlike beings facing everyday problems with a little splice of fantasy. Now, these problems are something that could not be solved by simply using their powers or punching the bad guy. Now, this brings me to our topic for today. Comic books should be included as learning materials. Now, a lot of people, mostly parents, might disagree, but hear me out. Getting kids excited in reading is a difficult task for us teachers. And in the past decade, we've witnessed the golden age of movies based on comic books and graphic novels such as the X-Men, Spider-Man, Batman, and much more recently, the emergence of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, wherein B-listed characters like Iron Man, Thor, Hulk, and Captain America became household names in the industry. And with the release of the Avengers in 2012, there was an increase of comic book sales as well. This proves that comic books have become more popular than it did in the 1940s thanks to the films being released today. Now, adults and kids alike have been reading comic books for leisure for a very long time. But now people in the world greatly think that comic books are more than that. They think that these characters and stories mean much more than what they seem. They think that these books should be included in curriculums. There's even a professor in America named Dr. Travis Langley who uses Batman comic books as basis of his studies in psychology. He analyzes the character's psyche in classes based on the trauma he experienced when he was 8 years old and what drives him to go on a crusade to fight crime even without superpowers. Now, there have been numerous studies and arguments as to why comic books should be included in schools. One in particular caught my attention, and that was from Josh Elder, the founder and president of Reading with Pictures. He introduced the 3 E's of comic books, now which sums up the strengths of comics as educational tools. Number 1, engagement. Students do not only read words, but they relate the text to illustrations that moves the story along from panel to panel. And next one, efficiency. In a comic book format, huge amounts of information are given in a short time, such as math, scientific data, and social studies, and many more. And last one, effectiveness. By combining text and imagery, it could lead to better recall of information and transfer of learning. This relates to a psychological study called dual coding theory of cognition, which indicates that pairing text to images leads to increased memory retention. Now, aside from the technical stuff in teaching, comic books teach us morals. Spider-Man is probably the most famous one. With great power, there must come great responsibility, which simply means if you have the ability to help others, it is your moral obligation to lend a hand. Batman taught us limits are meant to be broken and that our humanity is not a weakness. Thor taught us that even the god of thunder must learn the hardest lesson of all, humility. Superman taught us that our abilities do not mean we are above anything or anyone in this world. The X-Men told us that no matter how different we are still people deep down. Now, there are countless more that I could mention to you here in our broadcast, but that's all the time that we have for today. It has been a great pleasure, true believers. I am DJ Vann from Icon Academy, and as a famous man once said, Excelsior!